really just have to go back to the old school, making sure that everything's locked and things like that. Folks rely on this Nextdoor app and all these other neighborhood apps, which are have turned into more gossip columns than anything else.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of Dads on Purpose, the podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ashford, and on this show, we help dads be the best versions of themselves. And today, man, we're gonna talk about protecting a family. I got Malcolm. Malcolm, how you introduce yourself now? You got a lot of titles.
I really don't.
You don't introduce yourself?
I don't have a lot of titles. First of all, who am I to you? It's not my first time on the podcast.
I know that.
Oh.
Okay. What you talking about? But you still got to introduce yourself.
Oh,
look, man,
introduce myself now.
It's been a year or so since you've been on, and you know what I'm saying. Our viewership, we global, and by global I mean Canada, maybe a little bit in Jamaica, like two. We got a little Italia there,
love it,
and then the UK. Introduce yourself
now. Okay,
I'm gonna.
So. My name is Malcolm McGuire. I am owner-operator of Sphinx Investigations and Protective Services based out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area here in Texas. But we also cover other cities, Houston as well, pretty much anywhere in between. But we are a small private investigation firm that offers executive and close protection services as well. Some other small services like process service, background investigations, things like that. So
what's process service?
Process service is typically where you send out someone to serve someone with civil process. Think of subpoenas, divorce decrees, family law documents.
I thought you meant if you're trying to sue somebody.
That's also part of it.
Oh, okay.
We deliver all of that type of paperwork. So look us up.
Do you gotta get signatures for stuff?
No.
When you deliver stuff?
No.
How do I know that you serve my paperwork?
So you will receive from me what we call a return of service.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a piece of paper that is notarized that certifies that I or someone from my company delivered said paper to a particular individual on date and time, address, all that kind of stuff. So you get that.
What if they did it
immediately?
I'm not saying you, but somebody. Mm-hmm. What if somebody that served, they said they served and they didn't serve and they just got a stack of papers in they Tahoe?
Yeah, that would be unethical.
Okay.
Process server certification is something that you have to test for, and there's a lot that goes into it to actually get that certification. So it'd be kind of a waste of time to do all that. And then
this ain't got nothing to do with the podcast, but these are things I'm like, man, I don't know what processing is or anything like that. And okay. Well, anyways, thank you for letting me know.
Sure,
sir. I appreciate it. Let's get into what we're supposed to be talking about. We're talking about protecting the family. You also, you know what? Scratch that. Backtrack. Your credentials, so people know out there that Sphinx Private Investigation and Hero Shop is legit. What you done did? You got what? You done been to the Taliban? No.
So we are certified with the state of Texas, with the Texas Private Security Board. I personally and everyone who works for and with me are licensed private investigators with the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I am a certified fraud examiner and a couple other certifications. I'm a personal protection officer, which certifies me to provide plainclothes protective services for different types of individuals.
What that mean?
And so
executive security?
Yeah. So
okay.
So
I was like plainclothes.
The word that most people like to use is bodyguard.
Yeah.
But we're not fans of that word.
Yeah.
But
I see you've been lifting.
Don't do it.
I see you've been lifting. Getting your 40s.
Anyway, those are just some of the certifications. We're working on some others, but right now that we're just trying to provide as many services as we can.
Okay. I thought you was gonna list your other credentials, but we'll list those off. Yeah. If y'all know who he is, y'all know what he got. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, I want to start this on. We got obviously the topic is dads. Dads are protectors of the family, quote unquote. Yes. Let's start with just the physical protection of your house. Like, how do a lot of people get it wrong? And that's a loaded question on purpose.
So I think that, it's so two things jump out. Number one, I think we've become very lackadaisical in just the way that we protect our home. We don't do the little things. A good example would be leaving the house and knowing you're not coming back until after dark. Not turning the porch light on. Leaving doors unlocked is kind of a no-brainer. But making sure all the windows and doors are secured. I have two teenagers, and I'm constantly reminding them to make sure that the doors are locked before you go to bed and things like that. And
they don't lock doors.
Doesn't always work. But
why don't they lock doors?
Oh my God!
You got a vicious dog.
I have a dog. He is not vicious. He's not. He barks a lot, but that's about it.
That's what you mean.
But yeah, no, doors are a big part. Another part, and the second part of what I was going to say is social media has become a big issue in terms of using your location services. And the thing is, kids got to get online, let everybody know where they are all the time. And the thing about that is, what you're doing is you're telling burglars that you're not home. Whether that's going away on vacation or even
I was about to say I never get that. And folks be like, "Hey, we going to Dominican Republic for the next week. We'll see y'all later." Yeah. Here's my address, and I don't know. But.
Yeah. Well, I think there's nothing wrong with that, but I think the timing of it is what's important.
What you mean?
And again, folks want to be in the moment and let people know where you are right now. But to be honest with you, if you're serious about protecting your home and your things, it makes a lot more sense to, do that check-in as if you're either on your way home or already back home. But you're just giving people way too much time and letting folks know what you're doing. So you definitely want to avoid that from a physical aspect.
So what you're saying, if I'm going to Disney World and I just surprise my kids, I can't let social media know until we already back.
You can. It's just not a good idea. And this is coming from someone who's done it. I've taken a lot of risks in the past of just making sure that, folks know that, hey, we're doing this, we're doing that on social media. But thank God nothing's happened to us yet. But, there's just as many horror stories as there are success stories.
Now that I think about it, I just, like, personally for me, no shade, I love you guys, but like I don't care no more. Like to post it. I'm like, when I went back to California for my grandmother's surprise birthday party, I think I posted something the night of the event, and then I was home the next day. But also my family was here. A part of that was that my wife and my kids were here by themselves. But I mean, we got automatic lights. We got that cut on. We got an alarm that is actively set. We check the exterior doors every night, and so I mean, we're pretty safe. Can we leave our doors unlocked? Probably,
sure,
but I don't know.
A lot of people take solace in the fact that they have these Ring apps or I forget the name of mine. Mine's not a Ring app, but it's the same thing.
Yeah,
cameras all over the place.
They don't even alert you though.
Well, mine does.
Well, I mean, but they alert you, but like, what you gonna do? Hey, stop doing that.
Well, there's a
get out of my house.
There's a
put that down.
There's a 911 function on mine.
What?
To where I can hit a button and dial 911 from the app.
Really?
Yeah. But the reason I bring that up is
go ahead. I'm listening.
We tend to rely on that kind of stuff, and batteries die, and those things need to be recharged. And it's not a given. And so you really just have to go back to the old school, making sure that everything's locked and things like that. Folks rely on this Nextdoor app and all these other neighborhood apps, which are have turned into more gossip columns than anything else.
I don't got no 911 feature.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have a Ring app?
I got a front door, I got a driveway, I got some other stuff.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably on there. You just don't know what you're doing.
I don't.
We'll take a look at it off there.
I'm like, how I want to dial 911. You know what? I got the because the floodlights that showed in the Ring, and it's got the siren on it.
Yes,
but I never pushed it.
Okay,
I want to.
Okay, don't do that.
Why?
Don't do that either.
Why? Is it loud?
It can be.
Have you heard it?
I've heard others.
Okay,
I've heard others, but so one of the things that having that camera does for me is it shows me how lackadaisical we can get with certain things. So I'll give you an example. My wife or either one of my kids, I get notified when there's, because of motion that they're coming towards the door. And oftentimes I like to log in just to look and see, does anyone ever look back to see if there's someone behind you? I've got a long walkway to my door, and
you do.
I can tell you how many times I've watched my wife walk to the front door, and Tasha, I love you, but you do this all the time. Walk to the door on the phone with something in her hands, and I can hear her yapping on the phone. Not one time does she turn around and look to see what's behind her. Criminals don't care about cameras. And I've seen way too many videos of people being attacked on their way to the house. I saw one yesterday on their way, into their front door. And it's the little things. And I tell my sons the same thing. Turn around, take a glance back as you're walking down that walkway, because that could be the difference between life and death.
I never even thought about that. Like I don't even, now I'm gonna have to check to see if I do it or if Erica does it. Look, I ain't gonna tell y'all which way we come into the door because we got several doors, so y'all don't need to be checking up on us. But we enter the house through different doors on a regular basis, and so just a matter of, we got a long driveway, and so just depending on where we park. But I'm gonna start doing that. I might go watch some Ring videos and see, does she look back?
No one's perfect at. I've done it. I look at myself and see when I've walked, into the house and not turned around. But I like to think that I'm pretty aware, but it happens to everybody. So don't get down on yourself about it. Just start paying attention to it.
I like that. So so those are things we could do. So that's keeping us safe on social media so that we can keep the house safe. Looking back, things like that while you're walking into the house. But like, what are things that we can do in public? Like now, you know what I'm saying? Like back in the day, your kids can get on their bike and just ride around on the street and whatever, and do their thing. But now, like, I don't know what's happening. It's like, you think like with more technology, okay, people are talking about it. So like, was this stuff not happening then? Like kids not getting snatched back then?
Sure.
Or whatever. You know what I mean? So like, what can we do in the public to be more safe? What is safety?
Well, I'll start with kids, and your kids are young, so you have some time before this is a thing for you. But I have one who's driving, one who's just now starting to learn to drive, and there are longer periods of time where my kids are out of my sight. We have there's an app called Life 360.
Yep, and
I don't know if you haven't heard of it, it's amazing. As long as your children do what they're supposed to do and keep their Wi-Fi on or battery saver.
I'm not laughing at that.
But we have the app, and both my kids are on it. My wife, my mother-in-law is on it, and my sister-in-law, and my father-in-law, my nephew. So everyone who's in our like immediate
they watching
circle,
y'all.
Well, they can see where we are.
Yeah.
So it's helpful for me because it lets me know. Specifically, so I'll give you an example. My oldest has a class off campus.
Okay.
So whenever he leaves school to go to this class off campus, I know that he's left campus, and I get a notification. And I look at my watch and see, okay, yeah, he's supposed to be going to this class at this time, and vice versa. So it's super helpful.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is, because we have all this technology, it's easier for us to kind of give our kids a lot more leeway.
Yeah.
I'm here to say, stop doing that.
Because they'll turn it off. Yes. Like you think about yes. Apple just came out with the privacy stuff today that basically is, what's it like, smart Apple, smart lock, whatever.
Yeah.
In a push of a button, you can remove all location finders and some other stuff. And they said they partner with women's groups so they can get out of abusive relationships, which I'm fine with that. But I'm also like, bro, like teenagers just gonna be like, whoop.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a catch-22.
Yeah,
but I think it's important for kids to understand that we need to know where you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're not at a point in your life where you can A, defend yourself, and B, know what to do in every single type of emergency. So again, while I know that it's important for us to want to give these kids space and let them grow, they still need to understand that your parents are here for a reason for this period of time. So we need to know where you are. So
I feel like you're talking to your kids. Right now.
I'm hoping
your parents are here for a reason.
Yes,
they don't listen to podcasts. I'm gonna just let you know right now.
That's
I
true.
don't.
Not unless it's about sports.
No, we don't. I don't. We could talk about sports. Who you think gonna win again? What you think? Kobe or LeBron or MJ? No, that's not what we. Okay. Going back to it. So safety. Okay, we're talking about the Life 360.
Mhm.
Like that's a dope app. I was laughing originally because my buddy, him and his family, they have the app, and he likes to get speeding tickets.
Yeah.
And one day,
I love that part of it.
but his wife got an alert because he was coming back somewhere with his son, and she was like, "Were you just going 95 with our son?" And he was just like, just kind of shrugged his shoulders, like, "Yeah." But like it tells you like how fast they driving.
Yeah, I've done that with my son. I've texted him like, "There's no need for you to be going 3 miles away at whatever amount of speed you were going." He's like, "I wasn't." I was like, "Dude, I'm watching you. I'm watching you on the app." So,
Do you got cameras in the car?
No.
Why not?
Not yet. There is a camera
thing's expensive.
Yes, well, that's one reason. But there's a camera that I'm researching because I don't want to just get any camera.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a camera, and I'm not going to throw the name out because they're not paying me. But there is a really good.
But they could be.
there's a good camera that I think we're going to end up getting, but we'll have to get it on several cars because, like I said, almost everyone's driving now. But yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so we got the Life 360,
Uh-huh.
and then so that's to help out with the spot and everything. But I'm talking about like when you in, you know what I'm saying, big events and things like that. Like I think about it like kind of how you said, like when you're walking into the house, look back. But like, what are some things like out there to be safe? And granted, my kids are smaller, so they ain't going nowhere anyways. So they holding on to my hand anyways. But you know, as they get to be teenagers, middle school, high school age, where they're still under your guidance.
Sure.
Like what are things we can do if you just at Disneyland?
So I think situational awareness is huge. I think that's a big part of kind of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And not even to get off into the recent violent events, but I think it's important we can use school as an example.
Okay.
My kids and I and my wife, we have an understanding. We have, we run the whole gamut. We have code words. We know where they're going to go if something happens at school. And I think that it's good to come up with a safety plan for wherever you are.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm talking about at school. Like if something happens, they go somewhere.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they know where to go. They know where to go and where to contact me. There was a scare earlier this year, and they both texted me and said we're where we're supposed to be, right? But it's even something just not that elaborate. Restaurants. When you're going into restaurants, we don't always have control over it because restaurants are restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do, it's important to be able to find a what I like to call a safer seating location. I typically, my kids know this. I'm always going to sit facing the door.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
But you'd be surprised how often that doesn't happen in a lot of situations. But I think it's important everywhere you go. If you're going to church, you're not any safer in a church than you are in a restaurant or anywhere else. And I hate to say that out loud these days, but that's what it is. And so situational awareness is, I think, it is for me very, very huge. It's important for you to know not only where you are in a particular building, who's around you, but where everyone is who you came with. When we go to the movies,
that's good.
I have teenagers, so they don't always want to sit with dad.
Absolutely not.
Movies. They don't even want to go to the movies with us anymore.
But who's paying then?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But when they do, I don't have a problem with them sitting elsewhere.
Yeah.
As long as it's within a couple rows. Because if something happens, I need to be able to get to you. So I think it's important to, going back to our earlier point about exercising that independence, but at the same time, never losing that invisible tether that keeps you all together. So just being in public, situational awareness is big for me.
That's good. I think man, it's a lot of noises in this building. I keep looking. I got distracted. There's a window right over there, a door, but there was a crow.
It's all glass. It's too much glass.
I know, but anyways, they ain't got nothing to do with nothing. What was you talking about? Situational aware. I'm being aware of my situation.
You are.
So I'm
like very aware.
I can't help it.
Yeah.
I can't help it. But no, okay, so we got that. So we got don't tell everybody your business on social media so you could protect yourself.
Right.
We got have have awareness at the house and out in public.
Yes.
Make sure people know where you at.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like there was something else that I missed. Did I miss something else?
No, that was it.
I don't think so. I think that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
And so I think that really covers it though, for without diving down into a rabbit hole of a different area. Because you can, if you start talking about, protection and things like that. What are some courses that people could take? Like, I don't know. If they want to go that route in arm protection, you know what? Let's just jump into that. Like, what are things people should know about having arm protection if they have it themselves? Because everybody think, oh, I got a gun at the house and woo. Let me tell you, hold on, I'm gonna let you answer. You keep thinking about that,
okay?
Because listen, like people think just because I got a gun at the house, like I'm good and da 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 da. But I'm like, what good is the gun if you don't, one, if you can't get to it, and then two, if you don't have the proper security on it? I look back at my life. Shout out to my pops, yo, I love you. Oh, I love you, dude. But so we had an incident when I was younger where my brother grabbed my dad's gun and pulled the trigger in the house, and it was like a couple inches away from the gas line.
It was,
and I
remember.
I'm telling my story.
Just saying.
Are you thinking of your answer?
No, I got my. I'm ready to go.
Okay, but I'm saying, so like things like that. Like, one, you got to make sure that you have proper protocols, safety checks, precautions, all those things in line. So just having that ain't one thing. Ain't just having it is one thing, but then having it in the right place and then knowing how to use it. Yeah. And then I'm gonna let you do the rest because you're the professional. And then we could talk about, like, what do you do to help protect people?
So
now answer the question first. First question, then we're gonna go to the second question.
So I want to talk about the very first thing you said about having a gun. A lot of people think just because I have a gun, I'm good. Having a gun doesn't do you any good unless you A, know how to use it, and B, are actually practicing with it. And in that practicing, people come up with they see a lot of fancy stuff on TV, kind of holsters and stuff like that. If you're going to practice with it, let me back up. When you practice with your weapon, because I'm going to make the assumption that people are being responsible in doing that. Practice with the holster that you're actually going to carry the weapon in.
Yeah.
Because God forbid anyone ever gets into a shooting, but I promise you, it's probably not going to be at your nightstand. You're probably going to be out and about somewhere if it does happen. So. Practice with the holster that you got.
I could be in a shootout on my nightstand.
That's entirely possible, but just in case it doesn't, you need to know how to practice. Removing the weapon from the holster and coming on target and firing those rounds. But it's important that you're. This is Texas, so we're into constitutional carry now. But for those who've taken a license to carry course and gone through that qualification. It shouldn't stop there. You should continue to try and be as proficient with your weapon as possible. There are other types of courses that you can take just to stay familiar with the weapon and things like that. I think I'm big on self-defense courses. I think those are huge. It doesn't always have to be about a gun. You're not always going to have access to one, so you need to be able to protect yourself. It's all kinds of basic self-defense courses all over the place, and that way you can incorporate the two. Because that's super helpful,
especially if you got some close hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, because you can find yourself in places where it's not it's prohibited for you to have a weapon with you, and so you got to learn to protect yourself without one. And I think that's another thing that people get. They start carrying a gun, and that becomes their lifeline, and they forget I can protect myself without one. I would prefer not to, but I can, and we need to get back to learning how to do that.
Bunch of people in the mouth.
Yes. Yeah. But, I'm always about seeking out education and learning how to do that. But, so that's my answer to the whole relying on the weapon completely thing.
How do we practice how do we practice an emergency situation? So I think about I think about when I first like started having, weapons in the house. And I never forget my oldest daughter's there's an alarm going off in the house. I'm in a dead sleep. I wake up, I'm running, I'm ready to fight. My gun is in the room. So first of all, the alarm's going off. I'm like, who in the house? Let's get it.
Right.
So now I done took off down the hallway without my gun.
Okay.
And then I'm ready to fight. But it wasn't actually an alarm. It was a smoke detector. And so I'm like, I'm running through the house ready to fight somebody. Ain't nobody in there. It's the smoke detector. But had I practiced like what to do in that emergency, I mean, I do now in some fashion, but like before then, I wasn't. Does that make sense to the question?
It does. So you bring up an excellent point, because think about what kids are used to these days that they weren't used to when you and I were much younger.
What you mean?
We grew up in California, so we grew up with earthquake drills, right? I'm sure kids here in Texas grew up with tornado drills or whatever else they have here. And so as time has gone on and things have gotten much worse, kids are doing active shooter drills now,
which look like earthquake drills.
What's to stop you from doing emergency drills at your house with your kids? What's to stop you from coming up with a scenario and saying, hey, this A, B, or C is happening. We need to go out this door, or we need to do this. And honestly, the ages that your kids now is perfect, because that's when, things start to become muscle memory. And I don't see a reason why you wouldn't do that. And just like my wife's from Texas, and anytime a tornado touches down, she has a plan for everything. She has, she has clothes in a tub, and we getting in somebody's closet or doorway or something.
Yeah.
But she's prepared, and I can tell that she's been doing that her whole life. And there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do that for potential acts of violence or intruders or things like that.
But why she got clothes in the tub?
I have shoes. I'm sorry, babe.
Okay.
Shoes.
Okay.
Shoes. Let me.
Yeah, so you don't step on
like
stuff.
That.
So something happened, you don't step on stuff.
So she puts a pair of shoes in case. We have shoes in there. We got to make a run for it. But she's ready. The point is she's ready, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that at your house for acts of potential violence.
Do y'all put bicycle helmets in there too? Because that's what you're supposed to do in case something falls on your head.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
I'm gonna be honest. I've never really taken them seriously.
I'll be outside looking.
Yeah.
Until it's time to stop looking. When it start getting real calm or real windy, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna get in that closet.
Yeah, there's been times where she's like, yeah, everybody in the tub. I'm like, I'm not getting in the tub.
Where you going?
I don't know. Maybe this is just it. This is how it happens.
You know what makes me mad? And this is just me being me, that she wants the cat in the closet.
Cat's a part of the family.
The cat don't understand what's going on. And so she just in there. Anyways, that was fantastic information. Y'all, my kids are what, 2 and 3.5? Something like that.
They're your kids.
I don't know. Yeah. That's why it's a question. They're your nieces.
Yeah, but they're not. I'm not their father. So you should know how old they are.
Anyways, yeah, good for them to start at that age. But even if you don't have a plan, like you can start right now. I think we really checked off everything. What else is there? Something you want to leave anybody with? Anything else?
I think the only thing that I would leave everyone with is, just take advantage of the time that you have. I think if we've learned anything over this past year or so, it's that nothing's promised. You don't know when you send your kids to school if they're coming back. You go to work if you're coming back. If you go to church if you're coming back. Yeah. And we spend a lot of time talking to each other through screens, and I think it's important for families to remember how important it is, so that we're not, trying to remember when's the last time I said whatever to so-and-so. When's the last time I spoke to them? Stuff like that. So hug your kids up. That's all I got.
You want a hug?
I don't.
I love you.
I know you do, but no.
Tell me you love me.
Yeah, you love me.
Tell me you love me.
You love me.
Tell me you love me.
I just said you love me.
Well, I love you guys out there. Thank you guys for listening, even though he is what he is, and he gonna be what he gonna be. You is. Like the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, share the podcast. Until next week, we love you guys. Thank you. God bless.